So this is how far we got last time. And let me just pull up the designs that we have right now. So this is the website that we're trying to make right now. There's a desktop here, and then the mobile comps are down here. And right now, last week we did the header up here. Let me just make this a bit bigger. There we go. Hopefully you can see that a bit better. Yeah, actually I wanted to spend a little time just talking about some of the things that happened last week. So if you were here, there was a lot of time spent trying to figure out this gradient here in the background. And let's see, where is that? So I'd added a pseudo element after in the header, and this is where we added the radial gradient. And I hadn't really used radial gradients much before, but it turns out that these radial gradient takes a few different parameters. So the first one is circle. It can also be ellipse, and that will sort of determine the shape of your gradient. And then you got farthest side at bottom right. That kind of tells you where the center of the gradient begins, so you can change that. So let's try ellipse. And then I think it's a bit hard to see because I put the center kind of way off, but the other thing is it begins at farthest side at bottom right. So you could also say, just bottom right, or farthest side at top right. So, you can sort of, it's almost like the background position property. And the thing that was tripping me up a whole bunch was you can list out all the different colors that you want to be a part of your gradient. So this one here is the sort of lighter purple color, and then the second color here is a darker purple color. And I didn't realize that you can also add a second parameter to each color, like a second part to that parameter, where it sort of tells you how big that gradient will be, or like where it will be positioned. This is actually percent. So like what this means is we will start the light color, it'll start and end at 0%. 0% meaning, 0 is the center, and then 100% will be like the farthest edge. So if we change it to 20, you can see that it's getting brighter. Actually, let's just do this real quick. Say it starts in I guess default is center. So you can see here, the circle is about 20% of the total width. So you can make that smaller, you can make it bigger, but we want it at 0. And then the same goes with the second color. So we have the darker purple color, and that's at 85%, which means it will start at the outer edge and then go in. So we're saying that the darker purple will start at the outer edge and go in until it hits 85%, which is not, that much. You can see they kind of join around there. And then between those two distances is where the gradient will be. So let's say we, hey, hello everyone. Sorry, it's just in the middle of my thoughts and stuff. But yeah, thanks for joining this stream. I sincerely appreciate it. And hopefully I can, just show you guys what my process is and stuff. So going back here, let's say we change this 85% to 50%. You can see that it goes out all the way into about 50%. And then 20% goes all the way into 20%. So, I think thanks to one of my followers from Instagram, I think her name was Castro, Mrs. Castro, but yeah, she sent me a message afterwards with this fix. So yeah, I definitely appreciate that. But yeah, hope all you all are doing good, having good weekends. I have my cups of tea here so I can try to stay hydrated because I don't usually talk this much during the course of a day. Yeah, I just got some green tea. So let's just try to finish up this nav part, and then we will try to go on and sort of do the hero tonight, and then see how far we get. But I'm kind of planning this to be maybe an hour and a half or so. Cool. So a couple other things that I would have to do to kind of finish the top nav would be making sure that the logo is an actual link. And usually you want that to load like the home page, especially if your website has more than one page. And oh, Bitter Looker, you having tea too, awesome. And then I also would want to make sure that these are links too. The sign in is already a link. The sign up, I think we just had that be a button. So let's start with the logo. Let me make this font size a bit bigger so you can hopefully see a bit easier. I think that's one of the things that I've noticed, like when I would watch coding tutorial videos on YouTube or something, it would sometimes the size that the people would have their code at would be really small, and like I would have to do full screen, otherwise I couldn't read any of the code. So let me know if the size is like not big enough or whatever. But yeah, oh, via dev, yes, thank you. Let's see. Este Bacalo says, what frameworks do I use front-end developer? I don't know if you mean, oh, I see, Vue, Angular, Bootstrap, Materialize. At work, I actually usually use Foundation. It's a framework made by this company called Zerb, and it's not just like responsive layout stuff. They actually have a lot of plugins which can make building websites a lot faster. For example, they have like an off-canvas menu plugin. They have like a modal window plugin, like all kinds of different things. So it makes building websites really fast, much faster than if you did it from scratch. And then in terms of the JavaScript frameworks, I actually don't know any yet. So that's one of my goals for this year. I'd like to learn probably React, maybe Vue. But, you know, I think React seems to be taking up, you know, a whole bunch of the market share right now. And it's only going up from there. I don't know what's happening with Angular. It seems to, I think they were the first ones out, but then they kind of seem to have decreased in popularity a little bit, especially when they changed from version 1 to version 2. And it was like it was basically like a complete rewrite. So I think that frustrated a lot of devs. But I've heard really great things about Vue, especially like I've heard that it's a really great first framework to start out with. So I don't know, maybe I'll learn Vue first and then React. So we'll see. Cool. So yeah, Este Bacalo, sorry, hopefully I'm saying that right, but hopefully I answered your question. And yeah, there's a little bit of a delay sometimes, just because I'm looking at different things. So if I don't see your question right away, I will hopefully get to it, you know, a few minutes later or something. So let's see, where were we? Oh yeah, we want to make these things links. So, I mean, this is pretty, actually, I wonder if I could just turn this div into an A link. I'll just add a fake link here because obviously there's nothing else there. Reload. Actually, I forgot. Parcel reloads it for you. Okay, it looks like this is a link now. This is a link. The sign in is already a link, so we don't need to worry about that. And the sign up is a button. So I think if this actually had functionality, which it doesn't, I would probably like use JavaScript so that I would add like an on-click event so that when you click it, then it like either goes to a page or does some kind of action. But we're not really going to do that. So the only thing I'm going to do is just make it so that when you hover over the button, it'll turn into the hand instead of like the pointer. So let's just do that really quick. So we'll go up into our header CSS file. And if this is the first time that you're joining us, what I try to do is kind of break out my SAS files into different separate files so that you don't have one really giant long SAS file or CSS file. It just makes it much easier to make changes and to just to find things when you have to change things. So in the nav, the button, this is the button. So we'll just add a cursor is pointer. Okay, so now it's a button. So I sort of consider that kind of finishing the nav part. So let's move on to the hero. Let me pull up the designs. So what we have here is the hero on desktop. It's 2 columns. So you got the text and a button on the left side, and then you have this image here on the right side. And then you can see on the mobile design that is stacked. So it goes from 2 columns to 1 column. And you might notice that the order changes. So on mobile, the image is first, and then the text and the button are under it. On desktop, the text and the button are first, and then the image is second. So we will probably use Flexbox for that. I could also use CSS Grid, but I think I really just use CSS Grid if I'm working with kind of a complex layout. And also, to be honest, like I just recently learned CSS Grid like maybe several months ago, and like I haven't done a whole lot with it. So I just tend to use Flexbox, honestly, unless I need something more complex. So what we're going to do is we're going to build out the markup for the text area and then the image area. So let's do that now. We'll go to our index.html file, and let me just scoot that down. So this is done. Header's done. Actually, let's just add a little. I just like adding comments to each different section of my code. And the hero is in the header, so just to kind of make that clear. Let's see. Let's add a section. Class is hero. And again, I try to use semantic HTML whenever I can, so that's not just divs. Main reason isn't necessarily functionality-wise, but it more just helps you be able to quickly look through your code and see where things are. So it's just a kind of an organizational thing, honestly. Oh, I heard something. What happened? Something cool happened. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Yeah, I'm still very new to Twitch. If you are not aware, this is like my second time streaming, and I just spent like maybe 2 hours yesterday trying to figure out this like whole like purple like layout and like displaying the chat box and everything like that. So yeah, learning something new. It's always fun, right? Okay, so we're gonna have hero here, and then we're going to add 2 divs for each of the different sections. So let's call this hero. Let's do the image first, mobile first, right? And then the second one, we'll add hero. We'll just say hero text, because that's what it is. So the image here that we have is, I kind of loaded this beforehand. So it's just this SVG. So what I'm going to do is, what was it called? It was called Illustration Hero. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to add it into my image folder here. So it'll be in the image folder and then illustration-hero. So image source equals, I like VS Code. It does so many things for you. So like it makes this super easy. And then let's add the text. So the text is all your files in one secure location, accessible anywhere. I think I remember when I got this design, it comes with like, it came with like a HTML file that had like all the copy in it. Okay, here it is. Let's just move this down there. So what was that text again that we needed? All your files in one secure location, accessible anywhere. It's probably near the top. Oh yeah, it gives you like a starter index.html file. Here we go. So we'll just copy this text and put it here. And then there's a get started button again. I'm just going to make this an anchor link, and then we'll style that button later. And we'll kind of tag do we want to put the text in? Let's just say this is the H1 tag. Cool. Now we haven't really styled anything, so it's probably gonna look, oh, where is it? Oh, what happened? Did I mess things up? What happened? Oh, Christiane M. Gal, you said you followed me. That was the alert. Thanks. Yeah, still new to this Twitch thing. What happened here? Let's reload. What did I do? I did something and I messed up the styles. Let's see, logo. What the heck? What was the last thing I did? I added this thing here. Did I mess up any of the markup? Oh, you know what it is? The wrapper. Here, let me just show you. Where's the wrapper? Oh, actually, header. I made it display flex, so that will automatically flex all the child elements. And I just kind of added the hero here, so I think I need to change some stuff around. This is kind of annoying, but what are you gonna do? So what I need to do is I need to not have the header be the flex parent, but I need to kind of move everything that's in the top bar. Everything that's in this top bar here, I need to move it into the same parent. So I'm just going to move the logo element into the nav, and I will have to change around some of the CSS so that all the styles get ported over correctly. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if I put too many comments in my code, because I feel like if you just see this, you can see it says logo. So I don't know. It's just something I do. Okay. Whoops. Let's scoot this up a bit. Let's just see what it looks like now. I probably messed it up, and we'll have to fix it. Okay, so now everything's like under each other, which we need to fix. So we'll move this display flex and the justify content and everything. Let's move that to the nav element, actually. Yeah. So that after, this is the gradient again, logo, nav. Here we go. Oops. And actually, because the logo's in the nav, I'm actually going to change the order a little bit. So we will just move this here. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm just going to move the CSS down here so we can try to see the index and the... actually, I think I'll do this like this. Sorry, I will have everything ready at some point, I promise. There we go. This is kind of how I usually like to code. I like having a left side and a right side. So now on our right side, we're going to have the header SCSS file. And then on the left side, we'll have the index.html. So now we can see everything in one place. Cool. So, okay, so everything, like the logo and the links are in the nav now. So, okay, logo's inside the nav, which is what we want. And then it's display flex. Okay. All right, it's getting there. Obviously this button, we don't want it to be like that. Okay, I'm gonna have to add yet another wrapper div because now the nav is the parent flex item, the flex parent, I guess you could say, and it has 3 children, the logo, the sign in, and the sign up. So that's why they're sort of evenly spaced out. So what I wanna do is put the sign in and the sign up button in like a wrapper div inside the nav. So then in nav, the direct children would be the logo and then the div wrapping these buttons. Yeah, if something doesn't work in CSS, often the solution is to simply put it in div. There we go. And I don't know if I need to add a class on this. I feel like it might be best practice too, but yeah, why not? Class equals links. See, I don't know if you've noticed, but like sometimes I will use a semi-BEM beam format for my CSS. So like, for example, the hero, then I did the underscore underscore image, and then underscore underscore text. But then for up here, I just set logo and links. Like it could have been like nav logo and nav links, but I don't know. Maybe I should do that. No, I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it because first of all, nav is like the element and doesn't have class nav. So then I would have to change all this up, and we'll just leave it as it is for now. Sorry, hope this isn't too confusing. Okay, so now we're back where we started originally, which is good. Okay, so we got nav. Why is it so tall? Oh, height is 700. Let's not do that. Yeah, okay, let's take that out. What was the 700 height for? Was it for, is it used anywhere else? Is there a height setting on the header? There's not. Oh well, I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Oh, I guess the image, okay, that's what's adding the height. Yeah, let's get rid of the 700 pixel height for the nav because that's not needed. I think I just had that before just to like make the header like have a height so you could see the gradient. So it's more of like a just placeholder stuff. So actually there's another thing we can do that might be good, and that's to add some hover states. I usually just do, you know, just a kind of subtle animation kind of thing for my styles. So like on this button, when you hover over it, let's make it a little bit darker. So that's on the button. Where are we? Here we go. Actually, what I might do, because I think there's another green button. Yeah, there's a green button here. So I'm going to move this green button style into a helper class. So let's see where I would need to put this in my Sass. I'm just going to make a new file and call it buttons. Even though there's only one green button, usually you will have multiple button styles. So add the new one and then add it to my style.scss file. So now, yeah, I got the header and I got buttons. So what I will probably do is I'll do have these styles affect either button elements or an anchor link that has a class button, because I think I need both of them. Okay, so here's a button. I'll just actually move all that into buttons. And then, oh, actually, no. What I need to is add a kind of a more specific class, so green. So this means that any button element that has class of green will take these styles. Let's just make sure that this works. Because I need to add class green. Okay, looks like that works. Let's just double check. Okay, so you can see here that when we inspect the green button, the green sign up button, you can see the styles are coming from it having the class of green. So that sounded so funny. It sounds like a slot machine. Yeah, the internet is basically like a giant casino. Okay, so now what I originally wanted to do was add a hover state to the button. So hover, we will say the background color, and we'll just do a darken. That's something you can do in Sass, and let's just say 10%. see what that looks like. And I think my syntax is right. Let's see. Ooh, nice. So you can see how it gets darker, but we also want it to look kind of more nuanced, I guess. So let's add a transition property to that as well. So transition, that just will tell you, it can kind of animate property changes. Did I spell that right? Yeah, so transition, we want it to affect the background color. And then the next parameter is the duration of the animation. So we'll say 300 milliseconds. That's usually where I start. And then the last one that I use is what kind of animation. Ease and out is what I usually use. There we go. Okay, that seems a bit too long. So let's just make that half, 150 milliseconds. Let me zoom in a bit. Oops. Zoom in a bit here. There we go. There we go. That looks a bit better. Let's make it just a little faster, actually. 100. I feel like it's getting a bit too dark for my liking, so we're just going to take this down to 5. And this is really just all personal preference, honestly. So, okay, that's good enough for me. All right. Let's get to the hero. So we added all the markup, but stuff doesn't seem to be showing up. I wonder why that is. Actually, I think this needs to be like that. Okay, first let's figure out why the image isn't loading. Oh, it is, but what's going on here? Why is this, is it like under? Because the text isn't showing up either, so I think it might be a Z-index issue. Z-index, oh, hi Brian, Clark.io. Thank you for dropping in, I really appreciate it. If y'all don't know, Brian is a experienced Twitch streamer, unlike myself, and he does a lot of VS Code, TypeScript, and I think playing games too, right? So yeah, you should give him a follow if you're not already. So yeah, okay, I think there's a Z-index issue because the gradient element, the gradient pseudo element, I should say, is on top of everything in the hero, and that's not what I want. So I said Z-index 0. Let's see, I'm just gonna test Z-index is 1. There we go, okay, that's all it needed. So when you use Z-index, you need to also set the position, otherwise like the browser doesn't know like how it should display. So that's going to be under the hero element. Let's do that really quick. Okay, I don't know if this is overkill, but I think I need to make a new SAS file for the hero stuff. Yeah, we're going to make a new SAS file. Because, you know, if I wanted to, I could nest everything under header, but I was reading recently that you actually don't want to have more than like 3 levels. Otherwise, it makes your CSS classes really long. I think it might have even affect like processing speed or something. So, and I think it just makes things like, the more complicated things are, the more likely it is that you could make a mistake. So we'll keep things separate if we can. Hero.scss, and then we'll add that to our style. Actually, that should go under modules. Cool. We'll just close buttons since we don't need that right now. Okay, so hero. So I don't know if I'm doing this like by the textbook, but I try to use kind of Beam. Beam stands for, it's BEM, Block Element Modifier. It's like a way of kind of writing your CSS classes, usually if you're using SAS, because see here I have the parent hero element, and then it has children, hero image and hero text. So in my SAS file, I would just go ampersand __ image, and then I'll do the same thing for the text. So when this gets compiled, it'll look for hero, and then any styles just for the hero would be up here. And then The ampersand means it'll just take the parent class and then it'll add whatever's here. So that's what the ampersand's for. It's like super useful. Honestly, if you don't know Sass yet, like it's a really helpful thing to learn. Let's see. Okay, so we got this set up. Oh yeah, I needed to do the index 1 and position relative. Do you ever feel like you're just can't stay focused on something? I feel like a golden retriever. Okay. Okay, so now we got the styles we need in the hero, and we will let's code the mobile thing first. So it's pretty simple. It's like everything's just kind of centered and stacked. Let's check the size of this image because we need to make sure it's the right size. It says 424 by 440. This is my very exact way of figuring out how big I need to make my images. If you're using a tool like Sketch, you can just click on it and it'll tell you all the information about it. But I think the front end mentor.io, they'll give you like the JPEGs and stuff for free, but if you want the sketch file, you have to pay $5, which honestly I think is not bad, especially if like if you can pass that cost on to your client. Okay, so up here it says it's about 595 width by 623 height. So I'm just gonna say the width will be 600 for this image in hero image. And honestly, I could reduce some of the markup and add this class to the image itself and then remove this parent div that I had. So we wanted that width to be 600 pixels. That seems quite big. Well, that's 600. Oh, it's probably because I'm zoomed in so much, but that's fine. Wait a minute. 600 seems really wide for mobile. How big is this thing? This is what? How big? Oh, it's like 1125. So this is probably designed at 2x, because obviously most mobile phones are not 1125 pixels. It's probably half. So let's see. This is the second most common program that I use on this computer, the calculator, to do simple arithmetic. 562, that's still kind of wide for mobile. Hold on, I'm just curious, what's 375? That's actually probably what they're designed at. Because if you, what's going on here? I'm sorry. when you're in the code inspector, you can have these awesome tools which will sort of show you what the website will look like on various devices. Now it's not 100% accurate. The only way to know 100% is to actually test your website on an actual device, like a physical device. So let's see. Oh, did my stream go out? Hold on. Sorry, I have a second computer here, just kind of. Oh, came back. That's weird. Does that happen to you guys? Like, does the streaming screen just go black and say there's a network error, or is... I'm just curious if that's just me. But anyway, you can look at these emulator tools and it'll tell you. So, like, for example, the Galaxy S9 has a width of 360. And then iPhone is 375. So the reason that they design things at 3x is because of the pixel densities of phones and also retina displays. So it's like it started out as 2x, so that would mean that any images or background images, you would want to actually have an image that's twice the width and height of what you actually want the size to be. So for example, this image, which in the design, let's say it was like 200 pixels wide, because of the pixel density in the design, they're giving us one that is 3 times that, so that otherwise it'll look kind of pixelated and sort of not sharp when you're viewing the image on a device that does have the 2x or 3x pixel density. So this design seems to have been designed at 3x So that just means we will have to, because this was 600 width, we want to divide it by 3, so in reality it's only 200 pixels wide. So take the image down to 200 pixels. There we go. So I guess since we're designing for the mobile, I'll just leave this emulator on. This doesn't look very good, the header. Crap. Okay, I'm sorry guys. Okay, let's just do the hero stuff and then I'm gonna go back and fix the nav for mobile. Man, I feel like I've been coding that nav for like days. But okay, so the hero image looks pretty good. There also seems to be like a bunch of space between the nav and the hero image. So let's just figure out, that's about, what was it, 372? Yeah, 372. So we'll just add some space above the image. Oh, I know why the padding is like, okay. On the header, there's a bunch of padding. Yeah, it's 52 and 80 pixels for padding, so we'll fix that later. So, oh yeah, I need to divide by 3. So what was that, 372? So let's say so divide by 3 is like 120 or whatever. So let's just say 120. I think it's less than that, but let's test it first. Okay, so that seems like okay, right? We're gonna zoom till it's about 30%, 33% as close as we can, so we can see it in what it should sort of look like in real life. Let's just do 100 pixels. That's good enough. Okay, add this top padding. So what this is doing is it's adding a top padding to the hero to add space between the nav and the hero image. All right. I know I don't need to reload, but it's just like habit. I can tell that using parcel is going to, with its auto reloading function, is going to spoil me pretty bad. Okay, so next we want to do the text. So it looks like the text is about, what is that? Not very much, 100, so about 30, let's just say 30 pixels. So we'll just add a margin bottom of 30 pixels to the hero image. Let's copy that. Oh yeah, if you get that black screen, if you just refresh, you'll be able to see everything. Or I think if you actually reload the page, it will completely wipe out the past chat. So if you want to keep that chat history, you can just try to press the play button that's in like the bottom right-hand corner or bottom left-hand corner, and then it should reload the stream, but then also keep the chat history. So hero image will have margin bottom of 30. Cool. Okay. Now, because this is bothering me so much, I'm just going to go back and fix this stuff here. I think I just added this padding just because I wanted it to have some kind of padding, but I don't actually need that. So here again is my very accurate, detailed way of figuring out how big things should be. So that's 75. Man, this is going to like, okay, I'm going to, hold on. I can't keep doing math. We're gonna cheat a little bit here. So what I'm doing is I'm resizing the mobile comp to be a third of the original size so that I can quickly figure out what size things need to be. We'll just say version 2. Okay, much better. Okay, so now, what was that padding? Okay, 25. See, look how easy that is. 25. So we're going to add a top padding of 25 to, I guess, the nav. And then what's the side padding? Let's figure that out too. Side padding is about also 25. So we're gonna add a padding of 25 to the mobile. Yeah, it looks like, well, this is a bit bigger than 25, but this looks like it's probably 25 as well. Yeah, about. So we want to keep the padding consistent. So what we're going to do is, last week I had added this helper class wrapper and then added sort of uniform padding to it. So that's what I'm going to do. That way, anywhere that I want to use that padding settings, I can just add the wrapper class. So we said, what was it, 25 pixels? I guess for all corners. Then we're going to add our first media query so we can keep this other padding for desktop. Screen, and I'll explain what I'm doing after I finish typing this really quick. It's really hard to multitask. Let's just say for desktop, where do you want that to start? Let's just say 900. Let's just say 1,000. Now this might freak some of you out that I'm being so laissez-faire about my media queries, but the reality is they can be anything you want. A lot of people try to set their breakpoints, like create breakpoints for every single possible device, but that's actually sort of backwards, I guess. What you really want to do is create your breakpoints for your media queries at wherever it breaks the design. So that's kind of the methodology that I use going forward. Of course, like, sometimes you'll start with some breakpoints just to start off. Like, you could use 640 pixels for mobile and then 1024 pixels for desktop, and then you might have another breakpoint for large desktops. But we are just kind of we'll just be adding them as we need them. So media query means screen, so any device that has the screen, like a phone or a tablet or a desktop. And then what happens is at min width is 1,000 pixels. So any device or display that is 1,000 pixels minimum, meaning 1,000 or up, it will use this padding, 52 pixels and 80 pixels. So if it's smaller than 1,000 pixels, it'll use this padding of 25 pixels. So hope that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know why that network error happens in Twitch. Like, maybe that's a common thing. So we added our media query here. Let's recheck our website. All right. See, that looks so much better. I think I need to also size these down. So yeah, this is real web dev, guys. It's not necessarily glamorous, but people need websites. Oh, sorry, via dev. How long have I been learning web development? I've been doing web dev professionally for like 7 years, maybe a bit more than 7 years now. And I pretty much learned on the job. It's kind of a long story, which I'm hoping to make a YouTube video about at some point, just because I think it'd be cool for people learning web development to see like how people who are professionals like kind of got there, like what their path was. Especially because I took a very non-traditional path to web dev. I didn't take any CS classes in college or anything like that. And I actually just learned on the job. I never took any online course or boot camp or read a book or anything. Like, I literally just learned on the job. It was kind of like, I guess, an apprenticeship, like, back in the Middle Ages or whatever. I mean, they still exist now, but you just work under a master, and then the more you did the work, the better you would get. So that's kind of how I learned. So let's size down this logo. But yeah, feel free to, you guys can ask me any questions in the chat and I will try to answer them as best I can. Okay, so the logo is 80 pixels wide and 26 pixels tall. Let's zoom in a bit so you can see this. 120 pixels by 35. I'm just checking what size logo is on desktop. $160. Okay, I was just curious. Logo width on mobile is 80 pixels, so let's go and do that. I think I just sort of set 120 for like a random thing. Okay, I'm gonna do one more kind of housekeeping thing. I'm going to, instead of having to type like screen and min width 1,000 pixels for every single thing, I'm going to create a variable. We'll just add it in our global SAS file. So let's call it media queries. Queries. And let me see if I can do this from memory without looking it up, but let's say MQ1000 up. So I'm creating this variable that includes this screen and min width of 1,000 pixels. Then whenever I want to use that media query, I can just use the variable. See, I love VS Code, man. It does so much stuff for you. Like, knew what I was looking for. Yeah, so I think this should work. Let's see. Oh, min width isn't a valid CSS value. What did I do? Do I not need the parentheses? Nope, I'm still getting it there. Sorry, guys. Oh, expected. Oh. Sorry, I'm gonna cheat and look at a previous project. I guess that's another thing to keep in mind. Like, you're never gonna know everything by heart. You're always going to have to look up stuff. So, what do I... Sorry, open workspace. Yeah, but you're always going to have to look up stuff. Let's see. This is actually the files for my own website, my blog. Here we go. Oh, it needs to be in quotes. Okay. There we go. Cool. Okay. Okay, it built. Yay. Yay. Okay, so now, here, let me just show you this really quick. So you can see now the padding is 52 pixels and 80 pixels, but if we go, you can see at 1,000, it'll go to the smaller padding. So this is what we want. Oh, Newcomb says, what other languages do you know besides JS? At my previous job, we coded in C#.net. At my very first job, I learned VB.net, but I don't think anyone uses that anymore. C#.net. I know a tiny little bit of PHP, mostly just enough to like customize a WordPress site. And I know some JavaScript. So, but yeah, Time Writer. Yeah, that's true. Today I was working with SQL and forgot how to do something, so I Googled it. Yeah, Googling. Yeah, don't feel bad if you have to look stuff up, because like no one knows like every single thing by heart. Like, we're not dictionaries. As long as you know like how to use Google or Stack Overflow as like an extension of your brain, then you'll be able to figure out anything. Okay. Let me just close the other one. So, where were we? Oh yeah, logo width is 80. That seems really big. Background size, contain. See, what I had was cover, and that will make the image cover the height and the width, even if it kind of overflows it, which is what this is doing right here, because it is covering the width of 35 pixels. So what I want to do is say contain. And that will load just enough of the logo to like fill the div, but you can see it's repeating and I don't want that, so no repeat. And then background position, we'll do it in the center. Center, center. Okay, so let us copy all that stuff. I know that you can like just use the background CSS property and then just use these as parameters, but for some reason I just like I like separating them out, because sometimes in your media queries you might need to just change like one property or something, but I don't know. That's just like my own personal habit. Yeah, Time Rider, my mentor, told me he sometimes Googles stuff. Yeah, he worked at NASA, wow, and has been programming for over 20 years. Dang. That's a very cool mentor that you have. Did you find your mentor through like school or work, or how did you get connected to a NASA engineer? That's pretty cool. Okay, let's see how this looks. Cool. Now we need to size down these buttons, obviously, because they're giant. Oh yeah, and I have to eyeball the font sizes because I don't have the sketch file. Whoops. So this is about, crap. This is about 70 something pixels wide. Okay, let's just say 72. And then it's about, let's say 25. So 72 by 25. I always like to just test the styles first in the browser before I put it into my code. And then I just copy it over later. So let's see. Oh, actually, we added, so one way to create width and height is to actually set the width and height of the element. Another way, especially with buttons, which is useful, is you create the width and height by using padding. So if I want to decrease the width of this, I can just decrease the padding. You can see it's going down. But then we need to make sure the font size is correct, because, oh, it's at 100%. So I'm just going to eyeball this. This looks pretty small, maybe 12 pixels. What is it right now? Right now the font size is 16. So we'll set font size to 12 pixels. That seems pretty small. Maybe 13. It also seems like a different font almost. Actually, yeah, it looks like a different font. That's weird. It's Open Sans, which I believe is what they said. There's a style guide here. Yeah, I'm honestly pretty impressed with the front-end Mentor IO designs, because they give you all this helpful info. Typography is Railway and Open Sans, so I'm guessing that button is supposed to be Railway. Let's just test it out. Railway. Is that what the design looks like? Oh yeah, but just a different it's Railway, but it's a different weight. This, I think, oh, okay, I think this is a mistake. They just included bold, but that button is obviously not bold. So we're just gonna update this, the Google fonts where we're loading it. Let's just say we'll include 400. That's like regular weight. Oh crap. This is one thing that really bothers me about the auto reloader thing, is that my little trick of editing things in the browser will get erased every time it auto reloads. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that anymore. Okay, so we're going to change the font for these two nav links. So let's just add it underneath. Font family should be, I'm trying to remember if I made if I loaded the fonts as a variable. Yep, primary font. I love using variables because let's say I just said font family and I just typed out Railway for every time. If that ever changed, like if they redesigned the website or whatever, I would have to do a find and replace for every single instance, which, you know, one, it takes up time that doesn't need to, and two, like if you miss something, then your fonts could get messed up. But loading the Railway font as a primary font and then using that variable in the actual code makes it so that you only need to change it in one place before affecting the rest of the website. Oh, okay. Time Rider says my mentor. Oh, through work, cool. You work in the defense industry, and he still teaches me stuff. Awesome. And then Newcomb says, is it fair to say that knowing how to Google exactly what we want can become somewhat of a tool skill in itself? Yes, in terms of yielding the specific information that you need. Yeah, that's actually something that I have trouble explaining to people. Like I get a lot of questions on Instagram where people are asking me questions like that I feel like are kind of obvious, but maybe they just want, you know, the opinion of someone who's more experienced. But sometimes I'm just like, man, just like look up on Google. It's not that hard. Yeah, I think it's definitely like a separate skill of knowing how to research. Even if you don't know what you need to type into Google, if you just type whatever you know, it can kind of help you figure out like maybe a better search term. Like there's a special name for something, and then if you type that in, then you'll find better results because that's kind of like the agreed upon name. But yeah, that's definitely, online research is like definitely a skill that you need to learn as web developers that you'll develop, you know, just through hours and hours of Googling and not finding what you're looking for. But anyway, let's go back to what we were doing. Okay, we want to change these font styles. So we'll just do it here. Font size is, what do we say, 12 pixels? What I should be doing is using rems instead of pixels, because that's better for screen readers, or I mean screen readers, or if not screen readers, if you have to zoom in or zoom out. But so one rem is 16 pixels usually, so what would 12 be? 12 divided by 16.75 rem. I can math. Still seems kind of big. What font size is this? Still at 16. Why is that not working? Oh, it is being overrun by header nav button. Nav button. I think what I'm going to do is, oh, geez, that's not what I want either. That's why the font was Open Sans instead of Railway. Although Open Sans is probably the default font size. Okay, so now we've added the font size property in the anchor button in the nav. That's nice and small now. Okay, so what do we say this was? I'm sorry, I need to do this again. Let's just zoom in so you can see it easier. So I can see it easier. There we go. About 73 by 27. Let's just say 72 by 25. So let's just remember that. And then we'll adjust the padding. Let's try 5 pixels and 25 pixels. Although I guess it should be even numbers since it's like going to be on both sides. It was 72 width, so let's go down. So if you can see up in the, well, it'll disappear, but if you hover over an element when you have the inspector open, it'll sort of display the width and the height of the element, which is super helpful. So I'm just going to keep hovered over here until it gives me what I want. Let's just do 6 pixels and 15 pixels. And that would be padding for the button, right? Where is that? Is it in Hero? No. Oh, it must be in Button. Okay, so this padding that we had earlier was for the desktop version, so we want to keep that. So we'll add in the padding for the mobile, then add another media query. What was it? MQ-1000 up, I believe. There we go. Cool. It was kind of weird. The autocorrect, or the, what is it, type ahead didn't detect MQ, but whatever. Hey, that looks pretty good. There's a little less spacing here. Yeah, that's not very much. That's like maybe 15, about 15 pixels. So yeah, the sign-in element has a margin right of 30 pixels. So as under header nav A, so header nav A, margin right is 30. So again, this is, we do want this style for desktop, but we need to be different for mobile. Cool. Nukem, oh, do I have a YouTube channel? Yes. It's very small. I'll just show you guys really quick, just because, why not? Sorry. Here we go. Gotta load it in the right window. Yeah, so I have a very small YouTube channel that I have like, what, 5 videos? But yeah, I'm planning on I'm gonna put all the live coding things from Twitch onto YouTube, just because I think Twitch will delete them at some point. So yeah, but if you want to follow me on YouTube, feel free. Here, I will paste it in the chat. Is this allowed? There we go. So yeah, you can follow me on YouTube as well if you want. But I am trying to do more like tutorial coding things like this one. I did a little quick tutorial on how to set up Parcel. But yeah. Oh, undefined variable. Why is that? Where did I define that variable? In global. Did I not type it in right? Oh, large up. Sorry, this is my, that is the large up media query variable is something from Foundation, and it's just habit for me to do. Okay, there we go. Okay, now what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, margin right for the sign up link. Margin right, we'll do, what was it, 15? Why did it not work? It is here. It's not like, that's weird, it's not highlighting anymore. Header nav A. There we go. Okay, I actually need to fix this so the fonts aren't tiny on desktop. So I probably need to add more media queries as well. We'll just copy that so I can reuse it. So where did I set that font size? If I can't remember, I can just look it up. Font size is header nav A. What? Header nav A. Oh, there it is. So let's add a media query for desktop. Can't remember what the font size was for desktop, but it was probably 1 rem, which is 16 pixels. That seems about right? They're about the same size. Okay, good enough for me. Oh boy. Okay, I think this needs to be bigger too. So on desktop, the logo is about 160. And we can see here it's still the width of 80. So I just need to add another media query for the logo. So I hope this sort of makes sense, like why it's better to add media queries just when you need them. What was it? 160. Because otherwise you just add like tons and tons of media queries like everywhere, like even ones that you don't need. So 160. Okay, good. Let's go back to mobile width. A lot of times I'll just do this. I'll just kind of bring the browser down. Let's use the emulator just because we can. Okay, I zoomed in a bit too. So, okay, the header is finally done. We don't need that. Let's look at the mobile one. Okay, so in the hero, we can see the image and the text are centered. So we need to do that. Also, the button is not a button. Why is that? It's because I didn't add that helper class of button to that anchor link. So let's just do that first. So class equals button green. And then that will inherit, I'm sure you know, that'll inherit this green class that I made earlier. Okay. I need to move over the font styles too. So the font on the button in the top, where'd that come from? Okay, header nav button. So what I want to do is move at least the font family into that helper class button that I created. Honestly, what I should do, I think, is just in the body add like the font family. That way, is this right? That way I don't need to type it in every single time. No, that was not right. Primary font. Or secondary font rather, instead of font, secondary. Okay, so that's at least better. And then I'm gonna make the text on the buttons white. Man, I like just had dinner, but like I'm hungry again. This is not related to coding at all, but like today my husband and I did a whole bunch of yard work and housework. We just like cleaned the house and mowed the lawn and all that stuff. And I was edging the lawn and weed whacking, I guess you could say. And my arms are like really sore. So maybe doing more work than I usually do is making me hungry. Okay, we're gonna add color white. Did I? I don't think I created a variable, so just do FFF. Woohoo! Yay! Okay, center. This is actually really a good example because we want to center different types of elements. So we want to center this image, but we also want to center the text. The text is kind of fairly easy. When you text align center, everything's centered, right? You can't really do that to an image because it's not text. See, nothing happens. Or actually, this might work. It works. So we'll take that off from the hero text. So, but another way, let's say you wanted the text to not be centered, but you wanted the image to be centered. You could do something like margin auto. Display block. So display block means it'll be a block that you can move around. I don't know if that's a completely accurate way of putting it, but then you can set margin to auto. Auto means it'll sort of calculate and make it equal. That's really only for horizontal centering. You can't use that to vertically center. So that's one way to do it. another way you can center things is, we'll just leave that display block there. You can use Flexbox. This is why people love Flexbox so much, because before Flexbox, we had to use CSS floats to like vertically center and stuff, and it just felt hacky. Even though that was the only option, it just didn't feel like a great solution. So that's why display flex and then flex wrap. We want it to wrap. And then we can do justify content, center, yay. And then the text is like taking up the whole width, so that's why it's like not like that. But let's say we did width 80%, then it would kind of be centered like that. So that's one way to center text, which is not center aligned, text aligned. You can use Flexbox. But anyway, I guess I could use that, right? I would just still need to add text line center to here. But okay, let's just use Flexbox since we have that set up. So for Flexbox on the parent, which is the hero, we will add, oh, and I can't save, otherwise I'm going to lose all that CSS if I type into the browser. So display, I try to add the display property first. Flex and don't save. It's like my habit of just control S-ing all the time, because otherwise if you forget to save something and your computer crashes or whatever, then you've lost everything, and that sucks. Okay. And then hero text, we'll just do text line center. Let's just keep that width of 80%, because I think that's sort of how it looks. Yeah. No, the text is capitalized. That's fine though. Hero text, text line center, width of 80. And I just like putting the width first, and then like font style stuff later. Let's see. Hey, this is looking pretty good, eh? I really like these designs from Front End Mentor. They're like really cool. Okay, let's go back to normal zoom. Looks like the font sizes are a bit smaller too for here. Here's again my very accurate way of measuring things. What is that? 54 by 24? 22. So about 22 pixels for the font size, I think. Oh, it's because this is the H1. Font size is 32 for that. So hero text H1 will change the font size. 22, that's about like maybe 1.5 rems. And again, this is for mobile, so we'll just go ahead and add this media query up here, and I don't know. It'll be we'll change it for desktop, but I'm just gonna leave that here for now so we don't have to do it again later. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think the font size looks pretty comparable. I'm not gonna worry about the capitalization because it doesn't matter that much. The line height looks pretty good too. I think maybe the width of 80 isn't really what we need. Let's just take that out. We don't need that. There we go. Actually, it looks like the space under the image is less than what I have it. What is that? 38 pixels tall. So, oh, it's because the H1 tag automatically has these margins. So what I'm gonna do is remove margin. We'll say it's 0 on the top, and then 0, and then what's the bottom? Let's just say 20 pixels for now. So that means we are removing the sort of inherited styles on the H1. That just comes with the browser, I think. It's just like a default style that all browsers will add to things like H1 tags, and you have to sort of change them manually if you want something different. Okay, that's a bit better. So there's no top margin again anymore. There's a bottom margin, so let's try increasing that. 32. Looks like more than 32. Looks like 36. Really? Only 36. I guess that's pretty equal. Okay, so we'll change that margin on the hero H1 to 0 on everything except for 36 on the bottom. Hey guys, we're making progress. Okay. Oh, I'm also going to try to do this triangle thing at the bottom just to start that next part. So it looks like the bottom margin is under the button is about 78. So we'll say 80. I like using round numbers. And then, is a font right? Let's see. I can't remember if this is the secondary or primary font. Oh, it's the secondary font. Does that seem right? Oh yeah, the padding of the button needs to change for sure. I feel like it is the other font. Yeah, so it's open sans, but we want the button font to be the font primary, which is Railway. I think actually I'm going to add the font family on the buttons, since it seems to be the same everywhere, to the helper class on the button. So where was the font for the top button set? Header nav. Oh, that's why. I guess I'll leave that because we have that anchor link, which is also Railway. But I do want to kind of make the buttons by default use Railway, so I don't have to keep going back and changing it. So what was that, primary font? Is that the correct variable? Yes. So I hope this sort of approach makes sense. Like, I try to set as many properties on like the sort of top level as I can, so that they're inherited by anything else. Like, let's say if I set the font family and I put it in the green helper class, meaning all green buttons would have Railway as the font. That would work, right? But let's say I create another class for like blue buttons, and I have another set of CSS down here. I would have to have the font family there set there too. So in some ways you're duplicating code that you really don't need to. Whereas if I just set the font family primary font for all buttons, I know that it'll automatically be inherited by any future buttons. So actually what I would want to do is move a lot of this CSS that I have here for the green button into just like buttons. This is assuming that, you know, I would have to make other styles of buttons. So just for the sake of keeping things, trying to do things as best practice as possible, I'm going to copy all this actually, move it under here. So that way, next time I create a button style, even though I don't think the design calls for it, I can just add another helper class. Instead of green, it could be blue or clear or black or whatever it is. And then all I would have to add would be the background color, the text color, and then the hover background color. So that just makes, one, it's making my CSS file much shorter as opposed to having like lots of long duplicated things, and you don't want to duplicate your code. So I hope that makes sense. Cool. Let's see. We're getting somewhere, guys. We're making our way down the page. Okay. Let's figure out what this font size is. Okay, also we need it to be bold. Okay, so this is not bold, but this is bold. So I'm going to add a new class. I'm going to create a new CSS class just for styles for this hero button. So what I'm going to do is, let's go back into the markup. I'll just close this. Oh, I don't need this here. Index.html. So what I could do to sort of refer to it in CSS is, because this button is in the hero class, I could just add a button. And this would override anything that, any changes here would override whatever I have up here if I want to. So I'll do font weight of 700, which is bold. And then we can see now that it is bold. I think it needs to be a bit smaller too. So right now the font size is probably 16, because that's the default. Well, let's see, is it bigger or smaller than what's up top there? Looks like it's slightly bigger. So the button text on the top was, I think, 0.75 rem. So we'll do font size, the 0.8 rem. So that's pretty good. And then let's just figure out the padding. So again, this is very super accurate. So side padding is about 100. And then top and bottom padding is going to be about 15. So 15 on the top and bottom, and then 100 on the sides. So let's do that. Padding 15 and 100. Okay, that looks pretty good. That looks too wide. Why is this happening? Oh, 50. How did I get 100? I'm crazy. Okay, 15 and 50. There we go. Okay, that's pretty close. I feel like it's a bit rounder too. I think I'm gonna remove a little bit of the, actually this needs to be bigger. This is too small font size wise. Let's try 0.9. I don't know, I'm splitting hairs here. That button needs to be, I'm gonna reduce the top padding a little bit. Wait, why is this not? What? It's in Hero. The button is in Hero, but it is not. Did I not do this right? No, that's right. The padding should be 15 and 50. Let me know if I'm missing something here. Oh, here it is. I must have just scrolled down or something. Okay, I think the font size should be a tiny bit bigger. Weird. 16 just seemed really big. But maybe it was just an optical illusion or something. That seems bigger though. That seems too big. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to waste your time, but let's just get this button finished. Okay, that looks sort of okay. Side padding is about 60, not 50. Okay, that looks much better. Oops, that looks much better. Okay, where were we? We need to figure out this bottom space here. So this is about 76 pixels tall. So I think the easiest way to do that is we can just add a margin bottom. I don't know. I kind of like using padding to align things. This is not going all the way down. Whoops. I'm sorry, I just want to check something. Okay, I think before, because it was display probably inline block or something. Or maybe just inline. See, it looked like, okay, it must have been inline. I need to change this to display inline block. If I make it display block, it's going to take up 100% of the width, and I don't really want that. See, if I change it to display block, it just takes up the entire width. That's just what happens with elements if it's display block, because it'll just put it one underneath the other. Inline block makes it inline so that it won't take up the entire width, but it will be sort of block. I don't know, that's probably a topic that's a little too detailed for right now, but suffice to say, I don't want it to be full width, so I'm going to set it to display inline block. And then, okay, now see the hero text, it encompasses all of the button, which is good. So what I'm going to do is I added padding top of 100 pixels. But what I also want to do is add padding bottom of, what was it, 80 pixels or something? 76, 75. I like round numbers. So we were going to replace that padding top CSS with just padding under the hero. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, sweet. Okay, so the last thing we're gonna do before we end today is we'll just code this little triangle here. Just because, let's try to work ahead a little bit. So basically what I'm going to do is, usually in website development, when you're building websites, everything's a block, everything's a square. And that's something that I think some designers don't realize, or they just don't really think about, like how you actually have to end up building the elements in the website. So to do triangle, we need to kind of cheat a little bit, because you can't really create different types of shapes just in HTML and CSS. You can if you have like an SVG or something. But I'm going to make it with CSS using a sort of somewhat hacky thing. Not really, but you can make a triangle if you create a div and then use the border property and then sort of transform it so that you're angling it at whatever degree you want. So how do we want to do that? I think what we are going to eventually do is we'll add another div, obviously, for like this content here. So I'm just going to start adding that now. Excuse me, I need some more tea. But yeah, I hope all this has kind of made sense to all of you, and that this is like helpful and stuff. Let's see. We will add, what do we want this section to be called? I guess looks like maybe just, well, it looks like a feature section, so we'll just say features. And I'll create a new section class called features. Okay, so we will make a new Sass file, of course, for the features. New file, features.scss. And then, of course, we want to add it to our styles. Features. Okay, so now it's getting loaded. So I think what I'm going to do is build a triangle in the pseudo element before. And let's just say, this is just a temporary thing I'm going to add. We'll just say min height is 100 pixels just so something shows up. And we also want the background color to be white. So you can see, oops, what's going on? This is probably that z-index thing again. Wait, Oops, I added, oh, I see, I added the features inside the header. That's not what I want to do. Let's just move that out into its own little thing here. Okay, now we have this white background. So this is where like all the content and stuff will go later, which we'll do, I guess, next week. But for now, we're adding a pseudo element. And this is, again, so last week, radial gradients is something that I don't really know about. And this week, drawing with CSS is again something I don't really know about. So let's Google, or rather DuckDuckGo, since I'm trying to get off of Google. CSS triangles. Oh, Time Rider's saying, oh, you're asking what add-ons do I use for VS Code? I don't know if I use any besides the theme editor, honestly. I don't think that's even an add-on. I don't think I use any add-ons, to be honest. I probably should, because I know VS Code can do lots of cool stuff. But yeah, I just use the out of the box for right now. But yeah, if you are curious about VS Code, I would check out Brian Clark. He's at _clark.io. He does a lot of VS Code tips and customizations and stuff. So he's definitely the guy that you want to follow for VS Code stuff. Actually, I can, let's see. Let's find his Twitch. Let's see how good DuckDuckGo is. Here we go. Yeah, so he's here on Twitch. I think he does like live coding sometimes or other things. So, okay, I don't want to make my computer go crazy, but I'll just paste the link into the chat. Lots of tips on VS Code. And he's also on Instagram under _ClarkIO, and he shares a lot of stuff there. But let's go to our favorite friend, CSS tricks on how to draw triangles. Let's see. Okay, ooh, look at these nice triangles. Imagine a box. The box has a border top. It also has other borders. Ooh, notice how the borders meet each other at angles. And the background of the box is transparent. And the box is actually 0 width and 0 height. Interesting. Let's do that. That looks really fun. Let's do it in the browser again. So, okay, so another thing I do is I like to do this. I like adding a border to stuff. Height, let's just say 50 pixels. Or how tall is this triangle on mobile anyway? It's about, what is that? About 60. So we'll say the height's going to be 60. Okay, so yeah, so what I do a lot of time when I'm making something in CSS, I will like add just a red border just so I can see, make sure it's the right size and everything. Let's see, what was it? It was border top of, let's say 10 pixels, solid. And we'll just, yeah, black, just to differentiate it from the red. And then actually I think this might be messing this up. So I think the triangle, yeah, so I don't know if you can see that, but when you have borders of different colors, they sort of, I feel like it's a woodworking term, but it has this diagonal, so it's not just like, which makes sense because there's 4 different things. So that's kind of how you make triangles. So border left, oops. Let's do the same thing with 20 pixels solid red. So we're gonna make the right and the left borders the same. And then let's see what else CSS Tricks is telling us to do. Height is 86.6% of the width. So the border left width plus the border right width times 0.866% should be the border bottom width. Let's see, so our triangle again was 60 pixels tall, so I think the borders actually need to be 60 pixels in order for this to like kind of work. Man, I do not know if I'm doing this right. Actually, the triangle goes this way, so the top side is on the left side, and then the point, like the horizontal point, is like on the right side. So I think I want to use the left border. So we're gonna make the left border what we want our triangle to be. I'm just making it black just so you can see the difference. Okay, here we go, guys. And so what I want to do, I think, is, oh, see that? If I make the top border taller, it changes the angle, but I want to do the other way. Actually, I wonder if I need to do border bottom for this. Sorry, guys. This is the life of a web developer. Let's just do blue. No, let's do magenta. No, let's do green. Okay, I think actually this border bottom triangle is what we want to do. So we're going to make that 60 pixels tall. Let's just say border top 0. Sorry, I'm like just figuring this out as I'm talking, So this green triangle is the one that we want to like make the angle, be the white triangle. So border left, let's just make that transparent. See how it looks again. Okay, so if we're using the bottom border, we want this right side to be all the way over there. This is hard, guys. You know, I wonder if I couldn't use that left one. Huh. Oh my gosh, look, it's making a triangle, like the kind of triangle that we want. If I do 100%, will it? No, I guess that won't work. That's too bad. That's gonna make it actually kind of difficult, because if the triangle doesn't work unless we actually have like a specific pixel width, then that's gonna make it kind of hard. To see, this is kind of what we would want, like here. And then we would make the top one transparent. Oh, wait a minute. The background's transparent. Okay, so then we could transform. Because see, what's happening right now is the top is transparent, but it just has a white background, right? Because it was here. So we want to move it above the purple area so that when it's transparent, it would be purple. Translate Y, what, negative 20, 60 pixels. I don't know why I do this to myself. This is something that I probably could have reviewed before the stream. I guess part of me wants to keep it real. This is like opposite of what I want. Huh. Border left. We want it to be white. Okay, I think that's what we want. So the border top is going to be transparent. Hey, it looks like a triangle. And the border bottom we're also going to make transparent. Okay, hey, we're getting somewhere. Yeah, this is what I'm kind of like not sure about. Like this looks like the design, but it's not responsive at all. Like if I get rid of this, then it looks like this. Like it literally only works at that specific width. It's not responsive. Sorry guys. Let's see. You know, this happened to me before at work, at a previous work project where I had to make a triangle pretty much like this layout, and I ended up having to like use JavaScript to calculate like the, what is it, the cosine or the sine of the angle, because the angle had to stay the same. So I think we need to go back to DuckDuckGo. CSS responsive triangles. Triangles made responsive. Oh yeah, actually I was curious about that. Sorry, I'm just gonna go back. Responsive CSS triangle with percent width, because I tried doing percent for the border width and it didn't work, like it was invalid. You can use a skewed and rotated pseudo element. Okay, I have a pseudo element to create a responsive triangle. It means it maintains its aspect ratio with the padding bottom property. That's interesting. Let's see what this looks like. What do you know? Look at that. It's a responsive triangle. Okay. So they have the padding set, and that will control. Is that how it works? Oh, the padding controls. Okay, I see, because this is skewed. Let's just see what looks like not transformed. Let's get rid of this thing. Oop. I guess I need that. So not rotated. Oh, interesting. I'm just adding this just to see like how it's turning and stuff. Whoa. Interesting. I'm just curious. Skewed. So it's skewed at 30 degrees. Huh. Rotated at 30 degrees. Negative 30 degrees, I should say. That's interesting. So the skew controls the angle of the triangle, which is what we want. Oh man. Okay, I'm just gonna copy and paste. All right, let's see what we got. So what I think I want to do is let's go back to that example. Where did I get the background color from? I guess from this thing. Okay. That means I think I need to create a separate div just for the triangle. I guess like this. Oops. Stop it. So the background color needs to be set on the element itself, and then I will add all that stuff with the pseudo element. By the way, I don't know what I'm doing. But, you know, if I had to do this for work, this is exactly what I would have to do. I would have to look up stuff and then try to make sense of it. Let's just copy this whole thing. Okay, so we've got features triangle. Okay, that needs to be, I'm guessing, height of 60. Okay, good enough for me. Just add a display block for good measure. Just, sometimes not having a display block will just cause like weird things to happen, so. Okay. You know what, we're just gonna add a border color so you can see it more clearly. So here we got our triangle. We also want to transform it up so it's above, on top of the gradient. 60 pixels. Okay, so now you can see it's on top of the gradient. And we'll add more padding later when we have figured this out. Okay. Now let's try to make that triangle again. This is hard. The background color to be white, I guess. See, this is the part that I'm a little confused about. Okay, so this is the parent element. Background color is gray. Then the after thing . Oh, I wonder if the height needs to be like set to 0 or something. Yeah, I think that might be what it is. Oops, that's not right. See, I'm going to set the height of the like parent element to 0, but then I'll add a height of 60 to, is that right? Width 100%? I don't know. So the width is 0 right now. Why is that? Maybe because this has no width. So features triangle will have a width of 100%. There we go. Okay, and then this height should be 60 or something. So this is height, the features triangle has height and width. The before thing does not. Dang, that's weird. Huh. It says width is 0. What's going on? Width is 100. I set it to 100 pixels, but it's not doing anything. Maybe it needs a height. This is so weird. I don't know if this is going to do anything. Position absolute. Whoa. Hey, now it's something. I guess it needed a position property. I'll say this is position relative. Sometimes you need that. Now it looks like a triangle at least. Yeah, it just needs to be position absolute. Man, that's weird. I wonder if they did that too. Oh yeah, position absolute. I have no idea why this is working. Okay, so what do we want to do? I think I want to move this down, this diamond shape. Okay. Okay, we're getting somewhere. So we want this to be, so that's this part. So we need to move that down. Actually, maybe we can just make the height smaller. And this is what I don't get about Firefox. I feel like things don't update sometimes. Okay, so we'll add this to the before. We'll say height is 60. I don't even know if that's going to end up being that. And then, actually, let's remove this transform, the skewing and stuff. There we go. Okay. Maybe I can add a top of 0. No, how about a bottom of 0? I'm just playing around with things. I don't know what I'm doing. This is like the point in the video that you like try to fast forward until you got to the point that I figured it out, but because this is live, we are all just painfully stuck in this limbo. So if any of you have any ideas, feel free to chime in the chat and tell me what I'm missing here. Okay. This seems wrong. It doesn't need to be skewed that much. It just seems like, I don't know. See, what I'm confused about is why is what's controlling like this? Oh, it's the padding. Oh, right. That's how they said they can make it responsive. Okay. Let's just do red because it makes it easier to see everything. Padding bottom. And then if we add that skewing stuff, okay. So we want it to be going up here and then going angled out. Whoa, hey, it is responsive, how cool. So we want it from here to be the width of 100%. And then we're going to transform, where is it here? Or I wonder if I can use a left property. Oh, let's try right 0. I'm just basically playing around with this until it looks like what I think it should look like. This is not very exact. It's actually getting there. No, let's try this. Hey, I think we're getting there. Look at that. Looks like a triangle. Okay. Definitely getting there. We just need the angle to be not a little more like horizontal. This doesn't seem like it's doing anything. I'm just going to remove that later. So let's see. Let's try bottom 0. No, let's try top 0. It didn't do anything. We'll add a translate to... Oh, I forgot it's skewed, so it's like... We have to use translate Y and translate X to do stuff. Because it's like diagonal, so... Oops. Oh my gosh, look. It's almost like what we want it to look like. I just don't know if it's going to be responsive. I feel like I'm playing a video game. Whoa, look. It's like almost right there. Let's just change the degrees a little bit, maybe? Oh, man. See, this is when coding is fun. You spend like hours and hours trying to figure something out and not quite getting it. And then when you finally do get it, it feels awesome. Oh, wow, look at that. That's close enough. That's good enough for me, guys. Okay. Now remind me not to save anything, because then I'm going to erase everything that I just did. But let's get rid of this that we don't need. I feel like, I don't know. I guess you need this. Yeah, you do need the origin. This should be the same. Oh, man. That was a little painful. Not too bad, though. You don't need that, because that was just for like my own purposes. Okay. That wasn't needed. I'm just going to copy everything because I'm like paranoid. So this is the before pseudo element. I think I don't need this because I have auto prefixer in there. Oh, what did I do? Let's play the video game again. I bet this isn't responsive, but we'll see. Okay. Oop. Why is that not working? Is it because I did this? Oh yeah. Let's tweak this a tiny bit too. Dang, guys. We did it. We did it, Reddit. I'll change that to... Sorry, I should be commentating this a little bit better. I'm just so excited that I got it. Then we don't need that red border on the parent. I feel like it's not quite... Oh yeah, it's sort of... skewed a bit. Hey, it looks like a triangle. Okay, ready, point, moment of truth. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna cry. Ah, you said it was responsive. Well, yours is responsive, mine's not responsive. Y'all, it is 2 hours in. I think we're just gonna leave this for now. We can fix it next time. Hey, we're getting there. Look, after this, all we have to do is do this stuff, and this stuff. So, that's why I get paid the big bucks. Yeah, I guess so. Copying and pasting from Stack Overflow. Have you guys seen that T-shirt? I'm just gonna show you. It's hilarious. Copying and pasting from T-shirt. So it's from dev.to. They have this awesome shirt. It's a parody of the O'Reilly books, and it's just copying and pasting from Stack Overflow. So yeah, I kind of want to get that shirt. Anyway, yeah, thanks for hanging with me. Like, honestly, part of me is like, I don't understand why people would like want to spend 2 hours just watching me code, but I do feel like that it's like an opportunity to like just see how people do things, because I might do things differently from you, or maybe you're learning, and just helps to see like what in the real world what it looks like to make a website. But yeah, thanks for hanging, and we'll see you guys next time.